17th of April. I hereby call it
Too much swings.
That swing set really tired me out. I hereby call this court to order as we resume the trial of Miss Gina Lestrade. Lord Van Cheeks, have you successfully subpoenaed the witness? The subpoena was delivered to the communication station where the man works immediately, my lord. However, the heavy rain has delayed the arrival of his carriage, it would seem. And why the fuck are we here? Let us turn our attention to Inspector Gregson's process of the case heard by this court this morning. The glaring omission of the third bullet in your report is a serious blunder, Inspector. Yes, I can only apologize, my lord. And although the defense's chemical analysis of the blood at the scene makes for a compelling argument, I cannot permit such untried methods to be used as evidence in my courtroom.
It's a big mistake to cross Early and me. Very, very big mistake.
My lord! The subpoenaed witness has just arrived in the building. Hello, Tyler. He's playing Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Ooh, Tyler, you want to be friends?
Well, you should have played on my profile then. Because I'm the one with the Switch Online account. I think you still can. I mean, we're not gonna check now, but try opening my profile next time you play, okay? See what that does.
It's probably gonna give me a new person.
It's not. I told you. Animal Crossing works different. You can't have multiple profiles. Just see what it does.
You can't have multiple islands, but I think you can have multiple profiles.
Nope.
I'll see.
Okay. Thank you, officer. Show him to the stand without delay. Mr. Edgar Benedict. I didn't expect him to be crossing paths. I didn't expect to be crossing paths with him so soon, and certainly not like this. Thank you for complying with the court subpoena at such short notice, sir. But of course, my lord, as an upstanding member of London society, it is my pleasure to oblige.
I'm trying to play a game, and
I'm trying to pleasure you.
I don't give a fuck. You're a murderer.
What? No.
I only want Hurley Daddy.
Now kindly state your name and occupation for the record. Ashley Graydon, Communications Officer. My name's Ashley.
Well, technically, in that time, Ashley was a male's name.
What are you doing to my fingies? You're leaving fingy pins all over the place.
Mr. Graydon and I both work at London's Central Communications Station.
Now, perhaps someone would kindly explain what all of this is about. God, too many different voices. You are apprised of the situation by the court officer on their way here, I presume? Oh, yes, I was. Something to do with a murder that took place at a pawnbroker's on Baker Street. And some nonsense about me having been there on the night in question. That is the accusation indeed. This really is beyond joke, you know. Very well, without further delay, the court will hear your testimony now, Mr. Graydon. You will respond to the accusation made against you under oath.
Shimmy, shimmy.
Gladly, my lord, gladly.
I like him. He dances. Not guilty.
Not guilty? Oh, well, good, because this was a trial for Gina, so... Naturally, I have occasion to make use of pawnbroking services from time to time, but are you seriously suggesting I colluded with these thugs to break into the place on the night of the murder? I have no intention of admitting to such an outrageous accusation, even if certain parties here present claim that my blood was found at the scene. Some Scaramouche detectives' homebrewed tincture can hardly be taken as serious evidence. So you deny the accusation completely, do you? Yes. I must say I am dismayed. The highest court in the land to be swayed by this self-professed detective's toy. It was the will of the jury, and our great British justice system demands that the jury's will is upheld. And then it would seem we have the misfortune of a most inept assembly of jurors today. Oh, by golly! How long am I expected to be detained here? If following the defense's cross-examination, your involvement in this matter has not been established, you will be free to leave immediately. Good. Then I shall be away in time for afternoon tea. Some small consolation, at least. Let us not hold Mr. Graydon up any longer than necessary, counsel. Proceed with the cross-examination. So we meet again, Mr. Eggert Benedict. Or is it Mr. Graydon? My apologies. You are... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. We have met. Charmed. I have a twin brother named Eggert Benedict. If you say so. Ashley Graydon. Enchanté. So... he gave us his hat.
Is that how you flirt in England?
Maybe. I trust we can conclude this quickly. I'm not holding your flashy hat while we do. Yes.
We just gotta prove that he's been shot. Can you take off your coat, sir?
Hold it!
Have you seen these two men before? This pair? No, I don't associate with criminals. Said by a man who introduced himself as Eggert Benedict. I'd like to know who I have to thank for this. Who made this outlandish accusation against me. The young lawyer there in the black. This is a farce. Shimmy, shimmy. Whose idea was it to permit an outsider to work in a British court anyway? Wow. Racism, indeed. Well, needless to say.
Hold it!
Yes, we even met in the very pawnbroker where the crime took place in the afternoon on the day in question. Though, of course, you introduced yourself by a different name at the time. It was Mr. Eggert Benedict, I believe. Tell me, what made you... The witness is here to testify about the events that took place that night. And he is under no obligation to answer such unrelated questions. You can't be serious. Thank you, because I certainly do not feel inclined to answer such an inappropriate question. So he's going to be evasive, is he? In an effort to not give anything away. This could be tricky.
I gave you my hat. You have not given me an answer.
Where were you around 1 in the morning on the night in question, sir? In bed. It is past the hour which I would normally retire. Certainly, I was not in the company of these rapscallions. You're able to prove that? Nope. Listen carefully, my learned Nipponese friend, for you appear to be under a gross misapprehension on this point. What do you mean? A witness maintains he was not at the scene of the crime. He has no obligation to prove his absence. If your accusation is that the witness was present at the scene, the obligation lies with you to prove your assertion. You will fulfill that obligation before putting any more unreasonable questions to the witness. Dance. Silent victory waggle. Thanks.
Hold it!
I like how every time we pass between Ryunosuke and Eggert, you can see the criminals. They're just staring at him.
Like, they just like keep looking over at him. Blood was found at the scene of the crime. There's no question of that. Mr. Sholmes's chemical analysis has positively identified the substance as such.
But I am not the only human to have blood running through my veins, am I? How can you be so sure that the blood is mine? It could equally be the blood of one of these two miscreants.
Every individual's blood has a slightly different composition, it seems. Mr. Sholmes's chemical is able to differentiate different...
Spare me the science lesson. Who is this Sholmes character, anyway?
Oh, I assumed all Londoners would know the name. He's a great, well, a renowned detective.
So even you are unable to bring yourself to say great detective. Great detective, you say? Now we're in the realm of fairy tales, are we?
What do you have to say?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Skulkin?
Oh, what? Me?
No, the Mr. Skulkin next to you.
Right, I've had it up to here with this. How many times do I gotta tell you?
Yes, I know. You're not Big Bruv Sulky. Mr. Nash Skulkin.
Oh, God blimey, governor, you what?
Is it not the case that when Mr. Graydon just spoke, a thought went through your mind? Would you care to share that thought with the court?
Oh, my thoughts. I don't have none of them. It must have been him.
Hey, what?
Mr. Nash Skulkin, answer the question, please. What went through your mind when Mr. Graydon just spoke?
Nothing, honest, Gov, nothing. I was just thinking, if he waves his arm around like that much more, it'll open up the wound again, and that's all.
What wound?
Where he took the bullet, of course. It was only 2 days ago. It ain't gonna be healed up yet. So it was, well, you know, I was worried for him, and...
Oh, it's gonna get blood all over his fucking white suit.
Yep.
Oh, Elsbeth!
Mr. Graydon, did you hear that?
What are you talking about? I don't have a wound. Certainly I'm not covering it up with my fucking accusatory hand or anything.
Your comrade is worried about you, it seems. Why did I open my court record? On account of your injured arm.
My lord. Yes, Mr. Graydon. I have no idea what these two wretches are talking about. Certainly, I shouldn't be expected to answer anything in relation to their mindless insinuations.
We know that someone other than the victim was hit by a bullet in the scene of the crime 2 nights ago. Would that be 2 nights ago? It's the 17th. It was not last night, but yeah, no, it would be 2 nights ago, I guess. Or no. Yeah, no, it would be 2 nights ago. Okay. Yeah, I forget that we did all our investigation on the 16th. I completely skipped that text box, too. From the height of the bullet hole in the wall, that person was likely hit in the upper arm or thereabouts. Perhaps you would allow a court official to examine your arm, sir. The left arm that you're currently clasping with your right hand, as if in pain.
Oh dear, why did I do that? No, I refuse. You have shown no evidence whatsoever that links me to these common thieves. Accordingly, I'm not obliged to permit any such invasion of my privacy. As I already said, I'm completely uninvolved in all of this. I've never had anything...
His arm's gonna start bleeding.
Yeah, I know. I just said that, didn't I?
I've never had anything to do with the pawnbrokery where this filler was killed whatsoever. I take offense at the insinuation that I was in any way involved.
Wait, we can prove that you were there. We just have to get Mr. Winterbeck... Oh, shit.
You claim you have nothing whatsoever to do with Mr. Winterbeck's pawnbrokery.
My lord.
The detective.
Yeah, the detective, of course. The defense would like that last statement to be added to Mr. Graydon's formal testimony.
Very well, counsel. Continue with your testimony, Mr. Graydon.
Hold it!
Never had anything to do with it. You forget that I was there, Mr. Graydon, on the very afternoon of the incident.
Obviously, I am not a complete stranger to the pawnbrokers. I'm currently on the lookout for an armchair to furnish my study.
Stay on topic, please. You were there to redeem an article.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But it seems someone else does.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Inspector?
Come again, Sunshine.
You were there too, in fact, weren't you, Inspector? That afternoon.
I might have. Well, yes, I do remember meeting yourself at the pawnbrokers that afternoon. You, your Japanese assistant, and the accused were all present, as I recall.
And at the time, this witness, Mr. Graydon, was trying to acquire a particular article.
Well, now.
You can't say you've forgotten. Come on, now.
I'm afraid I don't remember too clearly.
What? But you must.
I'm not gonna lie and pretend I remember something that I don't.
What's going on here?
Grexy showed us a picture before, didn't he? You know, from the cameras that Hurley installed in Winterbanks.
Yes, of course. Oh, yeah, I guess I could have just presented that evidence. Exactly, which proves that Mr. Graydon was in the shop on the afternoon in question.
At no point have I denied that fact.
Yeah, he said he was looking for an armchair. You have to prove he was trying to get the coat.
Yeah.
I merely entered the shop to peruse the articles on sale and have a word with the broker. Nothing more.
We should have fish and chips today. I think I might put in an order for that for lunch. Understand why Mr. Graydon might be trying to cover his tracks. But why would Gregson be trying to avoid giving testimony about what happened? That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it? Oh yeah, didn't you want to go to Red Lobster?
Yeah, did you?
Well, if I'm gonna get fish and chips, I feel like Red Lobster or Red Robin might be better.
Okay.
That's all he's going to say on the matter, is it?
What do you think, Bruno?
I think he has no intention of telling us anything. He's well aware that the less he says, the less chance he has of giving himself away.
The complete opposite of Hurley, then. He seems to think that the more he says, the better.
Well, at least I managed to prise a little more information from these witnesses' lips. All thanks to the Skulkin brothers. I'm willing to bet that in the second game, Herlock will get accused of murder at some point, and he'll be like, "Ah, yes, I did this extremely incriminating thing," and we're like, "Shut the fuck up, please."
Yes, they were the key to it after all.
So he says he had nothing to do with Winterbanks. Well, we know that's not true.
Perhaps now would be a good time to have a proper look through the court record.
Alright, yeah, you got it. Should we present the music box disc? Because it has his blood on it, but can we prove that it's his blood?
Yeah, show us your finger.
He still won't do that. He's wearing gloves, so he'll be like, "No, I don't want to."
Yeah, but he was wearing gloves the last time too, so they would be torn.
Oh. Yes, we can't present this blood sample, but we can present the music
The
disc.
disc itself.
Objection.
Hooray! Have you ever seen this disc before, Mr. Graydon?
Why? Is it supposed to mean something?
This disc was until the day of his murder in pawn in Mr. Winterbake's shop. It was redeemed by the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, that afternoon. However, somebody mysteriously appeared to try to take it from her. And that somebody was you, of course, wasn't it, Mr. Graydon?
As I have reiterated numerous times now, you are mistaken. That was not me. I've never seen that disc before in my life.
It may have escaped your notice, but there is a small smear of blood on the disc.
Oh yes, resulting from abrasion of the thumb, perhaps.
That's right. The surface of the disc is covered in hundreds of tiny metal bumps. In the skirmish to acquire the disc, the thumb of the person who tried to take it suffered minor lacerations. So, while the disc bears the remnants of that skirmish in the form of this smear of blood, the thumb of the person in question must bear the remnants also, in the form of scratch.
Good gracious, indeed it must.
And this is so much easier than checking his arm.
Mm-hmm.
You refused to allow a court officer to examine your arm before. Are you now going to refuse to allow us to examine your thumb? Because I have no doubt that it bears a small scratch consistent with the smear of blood on this disc.
It's still an invasion of privacy, so yes, I'm going to ascertain my rights. Well, well, it would seem I underestimated me.
What? It's the same claim. You were injured and therefore at the scene. Like, we can't... What?
What is the meaning of this?
So you admit it now? You admit you have a scratch in your thumb from when you attempted to take the disc from the defendant?
Sure, why not? Order, order. Well, Mr. Graydon? It would appear that it has been something of a misunderstanding here. I did not attempt to take the disc, as you put it. No, quite the reverse.
What are you trying to say?
Shimmy. It's really quite simple, you say. The disc was mine from the outset. Is there some crime in taking an item that you own out of pawn?
What? It would seem, Mr. Graydon, that in this piece of evidence my learned friend has established a link between yourself and the incident. Accordingly, you will tell the court everything you know about this disc now.
As you
Contains
wish.
government secrets.
What?
It contains government secrets. Oh, whoops, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Oh, shit. Although I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder.
Sorry.
There's a note on the disc saying, "For McGilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation."
Well, we already know that's wrong because it's got a smattering of blood on it.
In the end,
Wait, hold on. What's the other redemption ticket we have?
That was for
That was
the other
that's
box.
Sholmes. Yeah, Sholmes' box.
in the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need to present the ticket, but I don't know if we have necessarily the right information. I'll try pressing him.
Didn't he have a second box? Didn't the victim have, or the Mr.
Which-
McGilden have a second box?
No. The coat apparently had two things in the pockets. One was the music disc, and we don't know necessarily what the other one is. I was trying to see if there was evidence anywhere. Yeah, I don't think we ever got evidence.
What's the other one again?
The other one is Sholmes' box, which had the manuscript in it.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm out of the loop. What were we talking about?
Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGill, did you say? The famous London philanthropist who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder? Yes, my lord. The one and the same. Good lord, Mr. Graydon. Are you saying that Mr. McGill and yourself were acquainted? Yes, that's correct.
Big stretchies?
Stretchies and back crackies.
Okay.
Order? Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear that name uttered here in my courtroom again.
According to what Gina told us, this disc was placed in pawn on that fateful night 2 months ago. Gilded himself gave instructions to deposit at Windibanks.
It's funny that Mr. Gray here is claiming the disc belongs to him, and then, isn't it?
In all likelihood, he's lying. So he appeared that afternoon at Windibanks in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason.
Counsel, you will commence your cross-examination, please. There's a note on the disc saying, for McGilded, but the item belongs to me.
This in particular, yeah, I think is the thing we have to present shit to. So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag.
That's right. Despite being mindful of danger when walking in the insalubrious areas her kind frequent.
Hey, can you shut the fuck up? I don't understand. I don't speak English. Miss Lestrade did no such thing.
Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender.
You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windbanks. Did we not keep the poster that he kept all our shit written down on? I feel like we would have taken that the first chance we got. To get your hands on McGilded's disc.
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense.
Nonsense.
I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear?
Yes, my lord.
And I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be.
Okay.
Snap.
Shit. Okay. That didn't work.
What didn't work?
Presenting the ticket.
Well, duh, he probably took it back after his finger was cut.
Yeah, but it has the victims.
Well, look at it and flip it around, and maybe you have to go like, oh.
We
look at
already
that.
did that, though. The blood on it has been identified as Mr. Mason's.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I thought it was. I thought you said you had the ticket for the. Or
For the
coast
code.
code.
So, like, there's still a contradiction here. How could he have had it stolen from him if it had... whatever. So we have to make a connection between this ticket and his statement somehow.
Hold it!
Would you care to explain how this belongs to you?
I enjoy a dab of music every once in a while. As you observe, a communications officer such as myself commands a fine salary. You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir. So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by the pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand, which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broken question.
You claim that was your overcoat.
Obviously, in my haste, I clean forgot that the music box disc was in its pocket.
Well, now we can prove because the coat doesn't fit him. The seam.
But we don't have the coat in evidence.
And yet there is a note on it that reads, "For me gilded." I'm a collector of rare and unusual music box music. I first met McGilded at the Gentleman's Club in the city, and I was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area. So the disc in question, it's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly. And then he died like 3 days after I put it in there, so...
Didn't fucking matter.
It didn't matter, I guess.
Gina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she?
No, because McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means that if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury.
Oh dear, this is complicated, isn't it?
Would it still be perjury? What's the statute of limitations?
Not only that, I do believe there is a law that if you're doing something to protect the lives of someone else.
Yeah, so yes, Good Samaritan law.
Yeah, thank you.
What's the? I don't think that's the case though, because she wasn't trying to protect lives.
Yeah, she was.
She was not trying to protect anyone's life except for McGilded, because she was threatened by him, which is still liable. Yeah, it's still a good defense.
That's
But-
him because
but
a friend
let's-
of her family.
Let me search it real quick. What's the statute of limitations on perjury? 5 years? Okay. Okay.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to Windibanks before?
Only once for the purposes of pawning something, but like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. So when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her, is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course, such is the art of the pick purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbroker at once in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place.
He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this.
In the end, of course, the police... You interrupted me?
Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it?
That's right. This was the very man.
Is that right?
I'll wait till you're finished.
He has something to say.
Apparently the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded as evidence.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Inspector?
What do you mean?
Last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seems to have troubled you in some way.
No, it didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone.
Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering McGilded's possessions?
I can't tell you something like that, shall it, sunshine?
What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets? Oh, I guess there was something that you missed, Kristen. Oh, shit. It was something to do with the inspector in earlier. What was the deal with him? It was something like... shit, I can't remember.
Just continue.
Yes, exactly. You should know all about... Oh, yeah! Okay, so... Yeah, so there was a moment during the earlier part of the trial where, Van Zeeks presented the disc. He was the one that, brought the disc to the court's attention, and Gregson was like, I thought we weren't going to bring that disc up at all during this trial. And Van Zeeks was like, yeah, well, I need this disc to make my case, so shut the fuck up. So it kind of makes it feel like Van Zeeks is kind of on our side, like Gregson is being shushed by the government or whatever.
So it's kind of like
And
when
Van's-
Edward kind
yeah,
of goes like,
yeah.
wait a second, this doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
Edgeworth definitely is more less subtle about it, but yeah, Van Zieks is, at the very least, he's willing to do whatever the fuck he feels like to get the verdict he wants, even if he's told not to do so. Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. I have nothing to do with that. Stop looking at me. I don't have a candle. Man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life, yet he had a dark side too. Where are you going with this, Van Zieks? I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? That's enough. Couples like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector. The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first. What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zieks here.
Well, it would appear that the inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony. Gladly, my lord.
There was something else in the... Because it said, didn't the ticket say 2 things in pockets?
No. Didn't say anything about the pockets. But perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items.
No, not at all.
Oh! A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later on that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc.
Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. There was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in.
So there was nothing of McGilded's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Bruno, if you have some evidence. So was this was Sholmes's box, right?
No, this was not Sholmes' box. Because they wrote it, because both tickets have the cat on it, so it was from the first person, because he wrote it on whatever piece of paper he has.
I don't think so.
Look at the other one. I think it's the ticket. That other ticket. Not
I
the
think
thumbprint one.
I'll try it.
Can I get this?
So this phrase...
Objection.
You were right.
Yeah, get my keys.
This disc was deposited at Windibank's on Magnus McGilden's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection.
Conjecture again. In any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection.
Sorry, my learned friend, but that's not true.
What?
McGilded had another article in pawn at Windibank's, as this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. There were 2 articles belonging to Mr. McGilded in Windibank's pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Alright, so this case has been going on so long, I don't fucking remember when we got this ticket. Or who, like, where we got it from. Because that was even before the representation papers.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this come from? And the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your 2 accomplices, the Skulkin brothers.
Ugh. This is the second ticket, is it? What did the man deposit it?
The article description reads, 1 small box.
Rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box?
I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did.
This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article has been forfeited, I can simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There will be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft.
That's a good point.
Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument.
So that means that for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection.
It is time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zieks?
No, he cannot.
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windibank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it.
What?
Good gracious. Inspector, show the photographer prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir. What prints? These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras.
Oh, Hurley's red-handed recorders again.
As previously explained using this plan of the shop layout, the victim establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Windibank received his customers, and the other was to capture the shelves on which articles were placed on for sale once forfeited. It sure is convenient that he didn't use the 4th wall there, almost like I'm leaning against the 4th wall here.
According to the information on this ticket, the gilded small box had been forfeited already, 2 days before the incident, at 9 p.m. on 13th of April to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items in the shop front.
Unless you forgot.
Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on 15th of April.
The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear.
And then here we have another print. This was taken about 2 hours after the incident.
We're gonna need what's his face again to put him in scope. See what.
Stereoscope, yeah.
So we have 2 pictures to compare. Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. Dear me, that's startling to me. That's starting to make my head ache.
Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive. In this case, we explore the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life.
Sure, men have already compared these two prints thoroughly, Inspector.
Why would you not just do an inventory of the entire shop? I mean, you can't do before, but you can do after.
Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these two photograph prints.
And the yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both. Dude, that's so fucking vague. They could have left something in place of the thing that they took.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Or inside the box could have been the thing that he needed anyway.
In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question. I think I like yours better, but honestly, it's probably mine because this is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. Ah!
No, this is why you have your own stethoscope.
I have a stereoscope, not
Or
a stethoscope.
stereoscope, sorry.
If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilded's pawn box, I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Bruno? I want to smack him. Let me go smack him. I've been thinking, what if these two photographs really are exactly the same? What?
Oh, Counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that, in fact, on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these two photographs somewhere? I'm going to use the stereoscope. Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something, if I may.
Try something? What are we talking about here? I'm old, I forget very easily.
I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify this discrepancy. Not these sheep again.
What piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you to identify a discrepancy between
I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the two prints stereoscopically.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yes, you've got the bug at last. You couldn't resist it, can you? You've got the cross-eyed compulsion.
Juror number 3, what a surprise.
Come on, Reno. Let's put the pictures in place and see what the... Hey,
Hey,
Tyler's back.
Tyler.
Let's see what this wonderful contraption shows us. There we go. Now, look through the eyepiece. Oh, I wonder what it could be. I wonder what it could be.
I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these two prints. What? You must what the fuck?
You must identify the equation in question for the court, Counsel. Where could it be?
Oh, well, where could it be?
Where's the discrepancy? I wonder where it could be.
Gotta get it exactly right. Alright. That's good enough, I guess. Granted, these two prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
Oh, it shifted.
Yeah. When you view the two pictures stereoscopically, the time is different. This box, a single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. What the fuck?
Let me
Unbelievable. Why am I doing this? This is stupid.
Hey, Joe, you're right. They're extraordinary.
How did we get so many of the prints?
We're passing them around like show and tell. What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves.
Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is in fact...
Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection!
This is fucking absurd. Mindless guesswork. What if it was? What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means quite simply that nothing has changed. Are you an idiot? Are you genuinely an idiot? I'm asking you this, Fanzeeks. I need
No,
you to,
he's a
on scale from-
cold-blooded murderer.
on
He
a
wants... Can you imagine? Because he's never lost a case. Yeah, every time he's gone up against us...
He's lost two cases.
He's lost 2 cases. And
Well,
we know
no,
for a fact
no,
the
it's-
first one and this one, the person was innocent.
It's not even
So
that.
how many innocent people have he sent to death?
Shush! It's not even that because he's a good prosecutor. He only takes cases in which it's obvious that the accused did it. So we're running circles around him with our logic, and yet he's like, no, I don't believe you because meow racism. Alright, McGilda's box wasn't stolen then. Like, this is so easy, dude. Like, come on. It was obviously whatever was in the box. Doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? Yes, it changes everything! I believe this changes everything about the case. And they're probably, if this is stupid, but I wouldn't doubt at this point, they're probably going to be like, you can't prove that there was an item inside of another item that gets deposited at the pawnbrokers. They'll be like, well, what about the music box and the overcoat, you dumbass? How can that possibly be? I don't know. I'm a genius prosecutor. I can't figure out 2 steps ahead of my fucking nose. The crucial point is the fact that it was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. Boxes can't put other things inside of them. That's stupid.
Yes, I agree. Very stupid.
Will your arms just start bleeding yet?
Not yet. I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at window. It's not there, dude.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. I brought the box with us. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
I disagree there. The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Cheeks.
Yeah, like Van Zeeks is slipping hard. Like he's grasping at straws during this case, and he's not getting them.
And he's not happy.
He's not happy. You might be right, honestly, that because no, I'll say that he is, because they make a point. They make a point that he only does cases where it's obvious. So the fact that he's lost these last 2 cases and is losing this one just goes to prove that how it's been like Stop, that's disgusting. I can't stand that. So the cases that we've done are presented as obviously one way, but in seriousness are the other way. So he's probably only taken cases where he doesn't even have to try that hard in. That might be it as well.
Mm-hmm.
1 small box, please. And make it have some fish and chips inside. I'm hungry.
So you want to do Red Robin today instead of...
Yes. We can order it now if you're hungry. Because I'm sure that this case is going to go on for a little bit more still.
And we still gotta get our hair done.
Yeah.
We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth.
To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing.
I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zeeks.
This is nothing but a smokescreen, a Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? I'm saying I'm racist. I thought you got that the first day we met. My learned friend has persisted with the same line of questioning from the very beginning. That they say witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilded from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place.
Exactly. It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. I wonder about that.
Where did I get this glass? We destroyed all the others.
I don't know where this glass came from, but if your lordship recalls, Mr. McGill had perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society whose reputation.
He wants us to tell. He wants us to have Jenny explain that she lied.
So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense.
Articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me.
Then why'd you try to steal him, you numbnuts?
He just admitted that the coat wasn't his.
Yeah, we already established that, remember? Well, you can't deposit cash in a pawnbrokery. I'm quite serious of that.
The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling.
It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. Goodbye, ghost glass. To explain, that's a baker's dozen of glasses I've smashed in this courtroom. And to explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have, let's look in the box!
Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are any way tangibly related to this case?
I feel like this is a time where Sholem should jump in and say, "I have the box right here," or some.
What if it's the evidence that was missing?
Oh yeah.
But what could it be? I don't even know what would be missing, because he got rid of the coat. He left the knife in the dude. It was something that was hidden underneath the seat.
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't even know.
Try it.
It was a gun. God, we have so much evidence.
Try the case 2 months ago.
I'll try it. What's the matter, Bruno? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know McGillen's true character, and we know this disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that Mr. McGillen's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. So, that the defense's argument was flawed based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. Oh no! She committed perjury! Which is a felony, I'll admit, but, still better than murder. Could be that Van Zeek's nose. Look at him, he's so smug. Why is he doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? Yes, I can read minds, you silly fool. It's one of my many vampire powers.
But baby.
No, you are
This
baby.
could be. I said then maybe. This could be
No,
a great
you-
opportunity for us.
You are baby. Sorry? What do you mean, Iris?
Well, what is it that you always say, Bruno? Sooner or later, the truth comes out, every time.
Alright, the exact significance of the things that McGill had deposited with Mr. Windibank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. So we'll do it anyway. Yeah, we'll have Gina testify. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal.
Oh, what proposal, counsel?
While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilded's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand.
We're gonna need a bigger stand. To what end?
It's to do with various articles deposited at Windibank's by Mr. McGilded, my lord. Miss Lestrade had information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question, once and for all. Well, well, things are becoming interesting. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing, in particular the impact it will have on the accused standing, and indeed your own. Well, you see, this is a murder trial, not a perjury trial, so fuck you. I have.
Lord Van Cheeks, would you care to explain that last remark?
No. I want to be cryptic as always. The accusation, the prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself.
Very well, if you have no objection, here's everyone. So the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently stand may step down until further notice. Yes. Quite right.
I have no
I
hat.
have no hat, so I don't know what tip, what rim I'm touching. Shall bid you good day.
Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies.
As you wish. I don't know why I'm not objecting to this.
Alright then, Gina, it's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here.
Good luck, Bruno.